The council has assembled. They are eager to hear your report.
Good evening. Welcome to the council. We begin tonight's meeting, the council, by calling the council to order. Hello to everyone and thanks for joining us. The council is a live Twitch talk show and podcast discussing Star Wars: The Old Republic. I'm Elise, and with me are my fellow council members, Sakari, Magic Ace,
yo,
and Redna.
Hey, hey, hey.
We all...
I know, you go out of town for a few days and suddenly you can't keep spinning it, and like it's not particularly trimmed. I'm getting a neck beard, man. I'm turning into a hipster.
Well, if you throw a little flannel on, you could be a lumberjack, you know.
Well, he's almost got,
no,
he's got a hoodie.
That would be called a Seattleite. I grew up in the Northwest, and that's all we wore was plaid.
Today, we're going to talk about the roadmap, our response, and what the community's response was. Magic.
Sorry, I was waiting for one more word. I didn't hear it. My bad.
Go!
Anyways, after this live broadcast, you can find our recorded episodes everywhere podcasts are found and on our YouTube channel. Guess what? It's the Council SWTOR. I know. Just click the panel below and you can also find our website, which all of our episodes are on. And don't forget to check out our social media. You can find us on Twitch at the Council SWTOR and Twitter at the Council SWTOR. You can also find our Patreon page at patreon.com/Council SWTOR. And one day I'll be able to say that without stumbling over my own words. Back to you.
Okay, let's try this one more time. Okay, so I had myself muted, goodness. I thought I was beyond that, but apparently not. The icebreaker. I am here, believe it or not. All right, so guys, the icebreaker is a question where we just kind of throw it out there, get the discussion going. That's what the plan is. Tonight's question, my friends, do you like the whole idea of SWTOR roadmaps to begin with? And if so, what would you guys do to improve kind of what's been happening already? Elise, let's start with you.
Roadmaps are good. They're organized, easily understandable. Most people have some exposure to them, depending on what you do for a living. So I think those are good. I mean, I'm not, maybe if they put it in categories, group content, story content, decorations, you know, the important things. Maybe that would be better, but...
Decos. I'm not even surprised that those made the list.
Wait. I'm pretty sure in this roadmap, decos were mentioned. Oh, wait, we'll talk about
They were!
I did highlight it.
Decos could have their own category. Like you have PvP content, group content, story content, decorations.
Yeah, right? I'm thinking like decos for PvP. Sure. How about Draw Out of the Hut? Ugh, no thanks. No.
Gerada sitting around in your stronghold.
I like looking at decos, thank you.
I will pass on that. I do really like the one, I forgot what even vendor I got it from, but I got the one where you can pick up the hut ball and you can throw it at someone, and if you don't throw it before too long, it explodes and it throws your character on the ground.
Oh, I love that
like
one.
That one.
Yeah.
I have it in my
Yavin
potato
stronghold of the hut ball. It's great.
Yeah, I have it in my my Yavin 4 stronghold because I was just like, you know what this place needs? A hut ball. So, you know, my husband and I are just in there, we're tossing the hut ball back and forth like we have nothing better to do.
Okay, so Magic.
What I want them to do is actually set it up because there's a Void Star one. Sorry, I've just got to put this out there because it just struck me and it's brilliant. And I'm brilliant, so there. But the doors, we got doors in our stronghold, right? So they need to set it up for the Void Star one where you can plant the bomb. It should go on a door, and the only way to get through is to actually plant the bomb or to trigger the bomb. To blow the door open so that you can go through. It would be great.
No, man, that 8-second channel would drive me crazy. What is it, like 8 or 15? It's like 15 or something like that. Oh, gosh.
It's ridiculously long.
Okay. Yeah. So, since we're talking about hut balls, let's pass the hut ball to Magic.
What Well, since I can't kick it, I won't be kicking it back to you guys. But anyways, I like the idea of roadmaps. I think it's like a coin. It's you're either one side or the other. It's like, yeah, I like roadmaps because it gives you an idea of what's going on, or no, I hate roadmaps because then I just get angry about stuff, and by the time stuff comes out, I'm already crabby and I don't even enjoy it because it came out and I knew what was coming. Like if you're wanting one thing and you get the other thing, so it's like this whole time you're stewing over what you didn't get or like how they got it wrong, because we don't know anybody like that out there.
Okay. All right, Renda, what about you?
Hey, listen, I think it's perfectly acceptable to feel entitled to a game you may have spent hundreds of dollars on. Realistically, though, I like the roadmaps. I like the way that they do it in this game. I mean, it's a fun idea. Would I prefer? I've seen in other games in other communities a much more actively engaged community team that was dynamically providing ideas or concepts, or just even having discussions with their community about what they ought to be working on to release next, or what they're even thinking about, pondering direction of the game, that sort of stuff. I might prefer something a little more freeform like that, but I think we know factually that BioWare and EA, that's just not in their business plan to divulge information that way. So I like the way that the roadmap is given to us. I think, nothing's perfect. Sometimes they slip, but I mean, I'm gonna be perfectly honest. When they give us anything and they give us a few months worth of material to chew over and discuss and to look forward to and ponder, I'm pretty happy about that. And you give me a teaser about stuff that's not in, hey, we don't have an expansion in this roadmap, but there might be one coming. Like, I like that conversation as well. So, considering the state of BioWare and its ability to communicate with their community in their forums or to convey information in any relevant manner, I think that the roadmap is the best I've seen.
Okay. Okay, yeah, absolutely. So let me throw out my take on the roadmap real quick, and we'll move on to the question of the week. For me, the roadmap is a great idea. I like that BioWare is communicating with the community about what's coming on the horizon. I like that idea generally. I think what BioWare has been doing so far has been let's try to get our mind around what we know we can deliver absolutely within the next 30 or 60 or 90 days. And that's what they include in the roadmap. Like, absolutely know they can deliver it. Because what I think the whole idea of the roadmap is a matter of managed expectations. Number one, create some expectations about who's returning, and so they can get a little bit of the hype up. Number two, dispel some of those expectations that people have over things that may not be accurate about what's coming in the near future.
Yeah, because people cried enough about the Arkan romance. Guess what's coming via roadmap?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can create some hype that way. So I think it's about it. Really, is to me is about creating and really about managing expectations. The one thing I would like to see changed about it a little bit, and here is maybe blur the lines a little bit. Instead of they deliver what they know they're going to be delivering within the next 60 days or so, 90 days, tell us what they're working on. That, hey, we can maybe say a little bit about this, but we're working on Conquest right now. We're expecting to have this out sometime soon. Don't commit to anything, but say, okay,
they would see it as a commitment.
Yeah, well, the community is welcome to see it as a commitment.
If they say they want to soon, I think is even too much. I don't mind them discussing what they're working on, but to even say soon or don't expect to see it sooner. I mean, like any kind of time frame. Because the thing is, I know I can name half a dozen people, including myself, that have had a one-on-one conversation with Musco and other employees at BioWare, and we have said unequivocally to stop ever giving out a date. Do not put dates on anything. Never, ever do it, because you're only setting yourself up for failure, and they've never been able to stop. So frankly, they should just stop talking time at all whatsoever. I would much prefer that they just say, hey, these are the things that we're working on, we're exploring, we're bouncing this idea around. This is all walla crazy, but this is the stuff that's actually kind of going on, or we've got some people working on a side project that might come into something, but it might not ever come to you. I'd much rather hear that, but at least know that they're playing with ideas and developing concepts behind the scenes to expand what the game has to offer than give me any kind of time frame to get people pissed off.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is a workflow involved with we pull something off the wall of crazy, we give it some good thought, some design, see if we can figure this out both from a technical perspective and from a player base. Can they handle this kind of perspective? Is this what they want? Then they develop it, and then they test it, and then they roll it into production. Right? That's really the workflow of what happens. I would love to know. Maybe give us something. Hey, Conquest. We are currently testing in the testing phase on some changes that we're working on in Conquest, maybe something like that, or we are designing some changes to, I don't know, something else, or just bringing a couple of companions back that you may have been missing, something like that. I think would be more helpful.
Well, sorry, who said that, Vector?
I really think the roadmap is the absolute worst way for them to announce companions coming back.
Really?
And BioWare could do a better job. They did a better job in Mass Effect Andromeda, did a better job in Mass Effect 3 multiplayer when they would add new characters, new character kits. They used to make tiny little blurbs and put it on their YouTube channel and then social media that out. I think a roadmap on the forums for those 20%ers that actually read is just really not.
Now, why do you say that? At least you're talking about a forum release as opposed to like an actual press release on the website, like a blog article on it, or what?
Or even just like a little, like a little YouTube commercial. Look who's coming. Blah blah blah. Yeah. That would be so.
You don't even need to
much
put their face on
better.
it. Just even put a sound bite and leave it for people to recognize the voice and be like, "Oh my God, that was Mako's voice. She's coming back."
That's really cool.
They could do a lot of things. They could mix it up.
Or just a stock image, like a screenshot.
They could do a little a little tiny little story GIF or something. They should be doing so much different than here's on the roadmap. Guess who's coming back?
A wanted poster.
Vector.
Have you seen this? Yeah. Or a missing photo? Have you seen this woman? We are looking to find her soon.
Or like on Vector, wouldn't it be cool to say?
Hire Redna, BioWare. He can fix this for you. Okay, hire Redna.
That's a good idea. No, this is a really good idea. Like I would love to see, hey, next to the returning companions, and you got some character's eyes closed, and then he opens it, and it's just a black, and that's all you do. Everybody would know what that means.
They would add like every month or so a new playable character, like class, race, and type, kit, whatever. And they had like a little blurb. It's it's an Asari and she blah blah blah, and here's her little bio, and then you'd see a little clip of her destroying some enemies, with one of her abilities or something, and and then that would be it. It would be like a little 30-second blurb, and it would go on the BioWare YouTube channel.
Okay, so it's no roadmap at all. It's just little 20-second snippet teasers.
For the companions, I think that would be best. And if you wanted to put something into the roadmap, the only thing you need to do is say, "Hey, we've got another 3 or 4 coming."
Yep.
And then make it the Easter egg hunt across the social medias to figure out where they're putting all those teasers. Make it a more engaged, kind of enjoyable experience finding that out rather than reading it in a wall of text.
Yep.
This is cool. I like where this is going. All right, so at least we may want to move on to our question of the week. Apparently the community weighed in very heavily and very quickly on a poll that we released earlier today.
Yep.
We thought that we had done it earlier in the week, and then Elise was like, hold on a moment. Have we done this?
I'm certain it is my fault. I have been out of town for 4 days, so we can blame Redna.
Well, no.
Well, that's excellent, because we already voted and we were going to blame you anyways.
So we got it out there around noon or 1 today, Central Time, and it apparently took off. So, Elise, without further ado, if you would like to take us into that.
So we did a very, very, very simple poll this week, and I do know that there were some suggestions on Reddit that we made it too simple, perhaps.
Nonsense. So we had the A and the B and the C.
Well, no, meaning we did not have enough nuance in choices because people were nuanced in their responses to the roadmap. However, the question that we asked this week was, do you like the roadmap? Simple. And keeping along with the ABC, Redna, again, clap, clap, clap. Um,
I'm having fun
gave
with
us
this, actually.
clearly gave us 3 choices. A is absolutely marvelous. B is bad in a bad way. And C is can't decide, counsel, guide me. I enjoyed that shout out. That we might be able to actually guide somebody. I'm sure that's not
as if we can do anything else.
It's like finding your favorite tech reviewer. You've got to pick one of the 4 of us to go with, because otherwise you're never going to know what you're doing.
So if the chat community would like to participate, now is your chance while we discuss the results here in just a minute, or how we would have answered. So go ahead and let us know in the chat. Do you like the roadmap? And you can answer A, B, or C.
The correct answer is C. Just to give everyone a spoiler alert.
I thought it was R for Redna.
R, yeah. This is very complicated. All right.
If I'm going to start doing these in alphabetical order, I'm just going to start adding A, B, C, or R, and just have Redna on there every time.
Or maybe instead of A, B, C, or any of that, we should just have like S for Sakari, M for Magic, A for Elise, R for Redna. And then whoever of us voted and we like ours better, they're voting for us too. Even if they don't like the answer, they're voting for us.
This is getting very
I don't
complicated.
like popularity contests because I always lose.
I don't want to be involved in so much choices.
No, Redna, because you're so awesome, right?
All right, so let's give a little more time to our chat room to enter their answers, because we want to hear what you guys think. Feel free to comment. If you don't like these, let us know why. Let us know what your thoughts are. What we want to do with this episode, because there's already been a lot of roadmap review episodes on Passionately Casual and Dutini Cast and Bad Feeling. Everybody's done their thing already. However, I don't know that any of them, and maybe I'm wrong because I'm a little bit behind, but maybe nobody that I know of has really done some analysis of the community's input on this. What does everybody think about this? So we're going to try to take a little bit of that angle tonight as we go. So again, feel free to answer. Feel free to hate our poll. Let us know why. Let us know what you thought. If you would like to flesh out your answer, flesh it out. Let us know why you think it was great, or what you hated about it, or any of that kind of stuff. And we will make sure to have it as a part of our journey tonight. With that said, Elise, would you like to... do we want to discuss what we all thought of this? How we all answered it first before we move on to the poll results? What do you guys think?
I put absolutely.
Okay.
But we can talk about it later. But I mean, I think I explained before that I loved last year, so this is right up my alley.
Okay. All right, fair enough. I put absolutely too, because I couldn't think of anything that I would rather have had instead. It was almost, for me, it was like almost for lack of a better choice. Like I couldn't really answer this poll. I struggled with it. Sure, yeah, I'd like it. I mean, I like that there's returning companions. I like that Conquest is getting a revamp. Yeah, sure. But I couldn't think of anything. I'm like, man, you guys are wasting your time because you really need to be working on something else. I couldn't think of what that was. So I was okay to go with it. That was me. Elise, you have any thoughts on this, or are you...
I was underwhelmed.
Underwhelmed?
I like ops bosses, but it's not what I drop. I'm not going to drop the mic for them.
Okay.
So, I haven't played all the ops bosses in the game to begin with. So, I'm not the person who's griping because I've played all of the operations in the game to death and I'm bored. So, another ops boss just kind of goes on the pile that I already have. My concern is that the story last year was lacking in a considerable way for me. Mm-hmm. I don't see anything that's going to change in the roadmap. So, companions are great, but I, again, wasn't that attached to the companions to begin with, because, again, I'm a 4.0 player, and it seems to me that the people who are, rah companions all played starting before me, when you had more time and the companions more integrated in the story more.
Right.
Not
For
to
me,
mention,
they
I
were
don't
just,
need more to like delete all the ones that they've given me.
So for me, companions were kind of a means to an end when I started playing. I had my favorite, and then the other ones were just cannon fodder. So, eh. But again, I'm a new player and not a founder. So
Sure. Well,
I'm sure that our opinions would break based on that.
Right. For anybody
Jeez,
kind of
us
new
elitists
to...
are like, what a noob. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I just want to throw this out there real quick. For anybody that is new to the whole roadmap, this discussion, we'll go through very quickly, like here are the highlights of this when we get to our deliberation section. So just a heads up on that, and then we'll start digging into it and what people thought of the different pieces. Magic, did you want to look at the poll and let us know how you would have answered it?
Yeah, I said A just because, as I mentioned on nearly every episode, this was my first MMO, so I don't really know any of the other stuff. And not to mention, until 2016, I didn't even watch Twitch or YouTube videos or read the roadmaps or the forums or anything like that. So this is just as good as any communication to me because I was never into the communication before. So what do I have to complain about? You know? I feel like any complaints I have would kind of be invalid since I, just look for what I want. And if it's there, I'm excited. If it's not, I'm like, maybe next time.
All right, fair enough.
So I voted A.
Okay.
Marvelous.
All right, so let me, for the time being, start to echo the results to chat. Elise, if you would like to begin with discussing how the community responded, this will be a blast, I'm sure.
Yeah, so before I guess we're going to talk, maybe I'll dump it in the deliberation section, but we had 14 responses to our question on Reddit, and they were salty in general.
Yes.
To the roadmap.
So forewarning to everybody.
Awesome, there were some awesome responses, but in general. And then I also pulled up the posts on Reddit. Someone posted, I don't know who it was. I assume it was one of the moderators, but on the SWTOR Reddit forum. And 247 people responded to that. And in general, just scanning, it's either meh or
that was a fantastic wrap up of everybody's general sentiments, I suppose.
So the results to our poll with 317 votes, which is just, I think, telling on how the community feels that in 7 hours we got 317 votes. The bad in a bad way is winning with 53% of the votes. That is 169 votes. Can't decide, council guide me with 91 votes. Or 29%, and then the absolutely marvelous with 57 votes and 18%. Shout out to SWTORista who attempted on our post. She pinned an explanation that the council guide me stage response was for. She explained it was us asking, and that's what that meant. So that I thought that was kind of funny.
Right.
The moderator felt the need to have to clarify what that meant. So yeah, the bad in a bad ways have it.
Apparently, yeah.
I just wonder whether or not that is because the majority of the people who are voting are, I don't know, story people.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, so let me throw something else out there as well. What we were saying as the statistics was not what we were showing on screen. Now, what we were showing on screen, I pulled a screenshot of that before we started the show, maybe 17 minutes before we went live. And I'm talking about actually live, not with the countdown. So we had probably 14 people vote in this poll in the last 15 minutes. So like this is real hot, is what we're saying. So we can only get these snapshots, and people are apparently moving on this. So there's a lot of data here to discuss. But what I was finding was that the proportions were generally the same. For every 2 or 3 that we're getting on Bad Way, we're getting 1 or 2 in the other one. So it was keeping the proportions about the same. So the whole divide up of about 53% to about 30% to about 18% is about what we had. But yes, the bads, the bees have it. So it seems like that by and large, people were salty about it, and then there was an undecided crowd next, and then maybe 1 in 5 were actually happy with the way this turned out.
And I do have to say, based on the comments, either the comments on ours or the comments on the posting of the roadmap on the forum, if you look at both, the bad is nuanced, even more nuanced. It's not that they're disappointed because there should be more. It's so much more nuanced than that. But what you see over and over and over again is people going, what I saw a lot of preponderance is it's clear that there's not that many people working on SWTOR. It's clear that Anthem is taking resources.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. We expected more than this. You see that a lot. It's not, this sucks, I hate it, I'm leaving. It's...
I wonder if that Kotaku article just shook the community and we're still recovering from that. I wonder.
Well, okay. Or there are a large number of people, of which I am not one of them, but I did hear a lot of people who... going into the end of last year, before even this year began, we're looking forward to the next expansion, and we're thinking it was going to be the beginning of the year. And the fact that we aren't seeing that in the next 2 months, which I think a lot of people forget, this is only 2 months worth of material.
Right.
This isn't the full 90 days.
That was mentioned multiple times, and that was a ding. Another reason that people were saying this is bad, because if you look at it, it's
too short term.
And this is what you're getting. And people are like bullet pointing. 1 ops boss, 1 flashpoint, a companion or 2, and a romance nobody wanted was one comment.
Conquest improvements and new
all kinds of people
decorations and new romances. And I mean, there's definitely a lot more than that. For me, 2 months of material, this is plenty. Realistically. But I think that the other thing is he decided to be ambiguous, and I've heard a lot of people complain that, it looks like we're not going to get an expansion. See, he just said it's going to be 6.0, even though that's always meant an expansion for all of BioWare's history, even when I wouldn't have called them expansions. Like, in my opinion, 4.0 and 5.0, not expansions. Like they did the Kotek copy stuff, those were story updates, of which we had many between expansions previously, only now that's all they've given us. And while I can appreciate at least that you didn't get much story last year, and it doesn't look like we've got a lot on the horizon, quite frankly, that's all we had for 2 years, and I was bored to tears and unsubbed. I mean,
no, that's true. It's like, this is we have. I wish that they would give us the MMO RPG. Like, here's all the stuff instead of here's the MMO or here's the RPG. It's like,
except
the pendulum is swinging.
It's hard to even argue that it was RPG when you've got developers on recordings saying that this was designed to be played with 1 button. Right. We had cinematic cutscenes tied together with letting your companion kill things for 2 years. I mean, that was okay, cool. We got to watch some story, but I want the gameplay. It's not even that I want the RPG or the MMO. I'm happy that we've got gameplay back because I want to play a video game, not watch some animated feature.
Yeah, I'm actually quite happy, generally speaking, with quality of life improvements. I mean, like, I would love to see some of the guild improvements come through, like being able to sort the list different ways, or to kick a whole legacy or whatever else. I mean, like,
that would be so
or block a whole legacy. There's a lot of quality of life that when you get it, you move on, but you have no idea how much it has changed your life. Like the fact that we weren't able once upon a time to use speeders until level 25. Do you understand how awful that was? But we've moved on. We don't think about how
legacy vaults. We had to stick stuff in the mail every time.
Exactly.
With a few things you could even legacy transfer.
Right. I mean, the
there's
quality of life is.
Heck, you couldn't even change your UI, and they came up with that, and then they gave us another update on top of that. And this is arguably one of the best UI modification systems built into a game I've ever seen. Granted,
Okay.
there are others that are better when you have an API that you let people design for, but for an in-game provision, it's amazing. And so, it gives those kinds of improvements that we have seen over time make me a lot more optimistic about the possible improvements that they're hinting towards in the conquests.
Okay,
Right.
so let me just play devil's advocate with you for just a moment. I get that what you guys are saying, that over time things have gotten better, but what you also need to remember is that not everybody's been here since the beginning.
True.
And all the things that you're excited about here, you get day one and others. So they can't just be
that's
like,
always
well,
been the
look at
case
what we
since
used
launch,
to have,
too.
blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. What matters is that this is what I want now. And if you don't have it, there are 10 other MMOs that could give it to me now. So BioWare's got to step it up
Yeah.
if
Well,
they're
it just
really
yeah.
going to try and
But-
hold on to people or get new people or whatever, because what was then, this is now.
But who
They're
of them?
gonna have to push
But
forward.
who of them has a Star Wars MMO?
It doesn't matter.
Arguably.
It doesn't
I want
matter.
Star Wars, so there you go. You know,
It
so
doesn't matter. People aren't going to play a game they find boring and clunky just because it's Star Wars. There are a lot of people who've put out articles who said they love Star Wars but don't want to play SWTOR because of many of those things.
Yeah, but you can't put everybody in that basket, because there's been times where this game has been hard to play in its history for me,
Right.
and I've stuck around because it's Star Wars.
Right.
I
I get that, but what I'm saying is that you can't just, and that's the problem. That's what they did with, I'm bringing it up again, like I do every show, Andromeda. They banked on all the Andromeda people coming and supporting the game, and that didn't happen.
Well,
so
I'm
you
still gonna buy
can't.
the game because I'm a Mass Effect
You
fan.
should.
Even
It's
with
an
all
awesome
the shade.
game.
My new computer is going to be here in just a few days, and I'm like, I'm totally buying Anthem.
It's a
It's one
great
of the first
game.
games I'm buying, or not Anthem, sorry, Andromeda. That's one of the first games I'm buying.
You should. It's a great game.
I'm looking forward to
But
Andromeda.
you can't ride the coattails of your IP and not treat it like it wasn't Star Wars. They should be treating it like it's not a Star Wars game. So that would be my own thing. Yes, we need quality of life.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do
but-
agree that you can't ride on the IP. You have to have a good game, and you actually hurt the IP or help the IP if the game is good. So no, I
EA
agree.
has a nasty habit. They did it with Battlefront 2 too. So you cannot do that. You need to have something more than just quality of life improvements, even though they're awesome.
Which is absolutely not what we're receiving here. Is just quality of life improvements.
Correct.
So let's not get too derailed on that.
All right. Okay. So before we move on too far, I also want to mention it looks like our chat room, like the people that are here with us, are a complete opposite of what came up in our poll. It looks to me like Absolutely Marvelous was 6, Bad was 1, and Can't Decide 2. So the poll switches, 180 degrees for the people that were here. So it looks to me like, generally speaking, the people that are here with us in chat.
I hope that means that we generally attract a happy, positive crowd.
Let's go with that. Yes.
Yeah, let's be positive about that statement. That's
All right. So as we transition into our deliberation segment, do we want to do a real quick recap of what is in here? Entirely just the highlights. No, I don't want you to read it.
5-minute
Redna, I do not want you to read it.
I can do it in under 5 minutes and bullet point this, okay? The thing
Take
that a lot of
breath
people
and
are upset
enunciate.
about, roadmaps are supposed to be 90 days, and they've decided to give us 2 months, but they did show up late, so, whatever. It's kind of a wash on that front. With this in mind, we decided to use the forums as a means to get you information, okay? So that they can be more responsive to people's concerns and responses. Basically, they're saying, we're going to put it right here for now because this is where we can respond to you, and it's going to disseminate to Reddit and everywhere else, but this is where you can come to in order to engage us. We're going to get the fifth boss. We're going to get the 5th boss and finish that. For some reason, they say they're giving us story and master mode, which is kind of asinine because they're not. They're going to give us a hard veterans mode and then make it easier later. They've done that before in the past. They are not going to be giving us any of the master modes for any of the other bosses, which isn't surprising because, quite frankly, they should have never said they were. They should have stuck to their guns in the last expansion where they said, we will never do master mode again. Done, never expect it again, just like I was. there's going to be the event where you can do it at the hard mode for a month. There's achievements and rewards and stuff, and then they make it easier later. There's like legacy-based rewards, titles, blah, blah, blah. They're revamping conquests. I'd actually really like to discuss what we expect that they might be doing for that, but they're trying to make it more consistently fun activity for guilds and individual participants, substantial improvements to the conquest system, new conquest vendors, new decorations. Heck yes, it's about dang time. They came out with tons of decorations with the launch of Conquest. Please give me more. Commander's Compendium, which will increase your active companion to influence level 50. That's a big deal. You can get a companion to 50, so any of your favorite companion, just boost it and be done. Quite frankly, I've never gotten one to 50.
You just skipped over Arkan's Romance.
Yeah, you can't do that.
I went with the highlights. Somebody highlighted it. I'm reading that.
I didn't know. Okay, Arkan's Romance is next. Hang on.
Yeah, the next highlight is Arkan's Romance. Hey, now you can romance a mass murdering genocidal killer. Yay! Congratulations. I know a lot of people were looking forward to that. You're also getting a Bug King back. That's Vector Hylas, your old romance as an agent. You're getting Ashara Zavros, the wannabe Ahsoka. You're getting her back. And the most important companion of all would
Ahsoka's
be, of
not
course,
even born yet. What do you mean want to be Ahsoka? What a hater.
a Kavi. Of course, a Kavi. The best companion in the world is coming back, and some other clone. Don't worry, you can get her back later. That would be Mako, for those of you that don't know anything of the companions. The Commander's Compendium is actually really exciting, and somebody has extra notes on that they want to talk about that, but I won't cheat it. There's that's all for March. In April, we're getting Nathma. The devastated Nathma, the conclusion to the Valkorian, apparently, stuff with whatever going on. Oh, yeah, by the way, they're giving us new augments again after, 2 months? With new places to get it in the flashpoints and stuff. And then we're getting a new vendor from the Gods from the Machine operation that's getting new rewards and stuff for that operation stuff at the end of the month. And then, oh, yeah, Felix Ireso, too. Okay, that's everything. 2 months. Under 5 minutes.
I'm actually kind of excited for Felix to come back too, just for the point of fact of saying that my Jedi was all goody two shoes. The one Jedi I made that was a sage. The rest of them were all dark side. So she was all like, "Oh, Felix." Now she can find her what true love.
And actually to the chat room, they've already said, well, as long as I don't have to do all of Coffee and Kotet to get Vector back, I'll be happy. You do. So don't start it like myself and keep your companion in the first place.
Yeah, so that's one thing at Mox. Mox's UA is in chat right now with us and hanging out and chatting and sharing his opinions on things. One of the things that he is doing is working his way through all of the story chapters and all of Kotfi and Kotet with one of every class, so that when they release these individual people, he has a character who can basically run the content and receive them back.
But that's too difficult. In fact, what I ended up doing is I still have characters on Starforge that I've been trying to keep their story up, because I'm like, I'm not leveling a female smuggler all the way back up to get Corso. I'm just gonna have to go back to Starforge and play this one again and get her back up there, because that's just too much. It's just too much. I already have only one server slot empty, and I have over 40 characters on this server, so I'm just like, I'm just gonna have to share.
If I have to play through Koffi and Kotet on every single class, I will quit the game. So that will just not.
Right.
That will not happen.
It's not every advanced class, though. Let's make sure.
Not happen.
It's not have to, because I won't.
Yeah.
I won't either. I'm not doing it.
I have zero interest. I've done it on 1.5 characters. They've yet to give me a reason.
Well, see, okay,
Yeah.
this adds a new layer of
priorities.
complexity for me, right? Because at first I was like, okay, let me take one character through, and I can assume that in my future I will eventually get everybody's companions, and I can pick which ones of those I like, move on with that. So I didn't turn around and try to get Kotfi and Kotet finished with all of these different characters. Then they sprung it on us. Oh, by the way, we're moving to a new model of this. We're going to just bring back the companions for the character who lost them. So for instance, if Felix Ireso comes back to the Jedi Consular, that's what you get. If you're a Sith warrior, you don't get Felix Ireso. So now that has added a layer of complexity for me, because I have to now think, well, which of those companions did I really want to see again, and let me get a character position for that. Now, fortunately, 80% of them, I'm like, I don't care. Sure, let's, it's no big deal. But there are one or two I was hoping to see. And so now I'm having to think back through my strategy of, just play one single character or two characters at the most.
I have this really kind of salty, thought in the back of my head. Are they doing this to get more people to play Coffee and Cotet?
It's possible.
What? Bringing the
I think
companions back?
people,
This.
I kind of think it's mostly just because of how many people were crying about their companions, and I don't blame them. Especially my crafters. When I started the new content, I didn't know. I'm literally gonna lose them all for ages.
Right.
And so when you've got worked so hard to get these companions geared up and stuff for your crafting, and then you lose them, you're like, I am going to kill you, BioWare. What am I supposed to do now? That's my main crafter and their companions.
Right. But they didn't need to do it that way. They could have re-brought them back like they did with the HK special chapter. Or an Alliance alert, and then you play through a little mini story that way.
Yeah, no,
They
agreed.
that way, and they chose not to.
Absolutely.
Or at least we're guessing. We don't know how they're going to come back. So,
in my opinion, and of course my opinion is usually wrong and doesn't agree with most people, but realistically, okay, as soon as I came out and got de-thawed and started this whole Alliance balderdash anyway, they should have had a cutscene unique to every single one of the characters that you could at least get back whomever you had romanced. If you hadn't romanced them, maybe not even give you that option. Just if you had, though, because most people, I would wager 90% plus that had played the original content, probably romanced one of their characters to the point where they were committed to each other. You ought to be able to get that back, because at this stage, even in the storyline, I was in Carbonite for 5 years, and then who knows how many years it's been since then, and this person has shown zero interest in finding me, even though we're supposed to be soulmates, in a galaxy where I'm the easiest person to find. It's not like I'm hiding from the entire galaxy that I'm apparently dominating and ruling. It's a little absurd.
That's why it annoyed me about Torian. I'm even though Torian's a Mandalorian, Mandalorians prize family. Honor and family is their top thing. So if Torian says, hey, Mandalore, I found my wife. She's over here. Can I please go to her? I doubt Mandalore's going to be like, nah, Torian, you suck. Just stay here. Come on. Torian should have been back far before then, okay? It's not even fair. That's all I'm saying.
Right. So Zurich, I'm going to say, it mentions in chat, I'm hoping that Rish and Vet have a conversation when they get back together, kind of a thing. That's the kind of stuff I do want to see if they're going to bring these back in this kind of fashion.
If we get them all, then the ones that know each other should certainly, have a cutscene together.
Yes, just one cutscene.
That's not going to happen, right, though? Because only the smuggler gets Risha, and so... Oh, wait, but you would have already got that back.
Yes.
Yeah, they're not going to do a cutscene, but that would be cool.
They need to, though.
Who says only the smuggler gets Risha?
Kaizen and Mako know each other. So they could have a cutscene. That would be interesting.
Well, they could do it also the way that they did in Origins, Dragon Age Origins, where while you have them out, you only get to take one companion out, though, right? There would be conversations between companions, like in Dragon Age, if you had more than one. And they would talk to each other.
KOTOR did that. Knights of the Old Republic, the game. They would have frequent cutscenes between these characters. Every time you got on the ship, there was some conversation going on. Yeah. And then, I'm actually surprised that hasn't been in this game since the beginning, in all honesty. Yeah. But it is what it is.
Because that is a, they did it in Andromeda too. So, yeah. That would be a compromise. Yeah.
Well, one thing I will say about the roadmap was the whole thing with the new augments. I just want to touch on that because someone who has a 247 healer she did touch on that. So someone who has a
she did say that
7 item rating healer and still has 4 more augments to upgrade. I now have more upgrades coming out.
I thought of you when I
hang on now.
I was like,
okay,
me?
I'm going to throw.
I know that they said Isaac's is harder, and so they're giving you more to make it, easier to get through the content. And I'm just like, okay, so literally all the money,
okay, hang
all
on.
the grinding that I just did. What was it for?
Magic, let me throw this out there. Because in Passionately Casual, this last episode, JT it was Jason Taylor, for those of you know, is one of the hosts there, threw out something that I thought was he read this paragraph of the roadmap in a way I didn't. I assumed the same thing you did, Magic, with, oh my goodness, there's now a 242 augment or whatever the next layer up is, because currently the best we get is 236. Well, what it says is we've added powerful new augments for those who
in
additional...
April, Game Update 5.9, the Nathma Conspiracy Flashpoint, we've added powerful new augments.
Yeah, but what he's saying is, right, that they might be just for those who
no,
take down
it's
veteran.
entirely
He was
possible
saying that he thought he was that they were referring.
Why don't we
to
let
what
him
he
say,
added
and then we'll
2
know what
months
he's
ago.
saying?
Yeah. Well,
That is what
thank
he
you
said.
so much,
He thought
Magic.
that they were added 2 months ago.
Well, yeah.
But
So yeah.
his
JT's
statement
point.
is clear.
Well, JT's point was we have added powerful new augments, not necessarily referring. Let me get this out. Not necessarily referring to what they are going to be bringing in, but because they already have, and then they turn around and they start saying, "Well, what you're really getting is the legacy-based crafting patterns for those that drop off of." You know, certain bosses in certain ways, and maybe some of them are bind on equip or whatever else. So it's not like,
As opposed to buying the ones that we currently have off of the vendor.
yes,
Okay, so yeah, I'll get them off the vendor like I do everything else, and these new ones, that is in a bullet point list for April Game Update 5.9, the Nathma Conspiracy Flashpoint, in which they have added powerful new augments. I think I'll get those too because they're clearly going to be better than what we already have.
Yeah.
Okay, now
The
let me
whole
say
reason
something.
I brought that up is just because I want to say
I do understand.
I read it the way
Right,
you do,
and
Redna.
Right here.
And I do understand also, to JT's point, BioWare has a terrible problem grasping the English language. They don't articulate or utilize vocabulary or grammar well. But in this case, until they come out and say, we're talking about the ones that we already gave you, not the new ones that are supposed to be coming at this month in this patch update that we just referenced. I'm going to cross my fingers that maybe this time they actually used English properly.
Yeah, now, if they said we will be adding powerful new augments, not a problem at all. But right now we have this double, two interpretations of this one thing. What exactly does it mean? Incidentally, for the record, I am of your thought, Redna. I think 242 is going to be the next augment tier, or two. What is it? It's 236 right now, so maybe 240
or whatever it is. I actually totally agree with you guys. I think it's way too early. Way too early to give something new on the augments, but they have this odd compulsion to keep upping tier arbitrarily for no real reason. So quite frankly, I'm glad that they gave us augments rather than an entire new gear set that we needed to be able to take down the master mode boss.
I like to
and
keep
they've done that
working
before.
on gear. I like to know, like, I don't want to just get my gear and then forever be done. But I will say, like, it seems to coincide that anytime they do an upgrade, it's when I'm just finishing the last one. And I'm like, whew, yeah. I got it done. They're like, here's your new gear. And I'm just like, why me? Why? That's how it is. It's like they've got a timer on my computer and they're like, oh, magic's done. Boom.
So there's two things. First, Mox confirmed by asking Musco on Monday, which is today, that they are in fact new upgrades. So that's from the chat room. But additionally, I agree with you, but I think the easy answer for why now, is because our previous poll during grafting, it turns out that everybody's got all their max stuff. So might as well up something to work towards.
These ones are rough. These ones are not easy to craft. You have to play G ranked to put the materials together.
And that's actually got me kind of curious, because apparently they're adding it so that you can take down Master Mode Isaacs. Except you've got 1 month to take him down.
But yeah, and then you have to get you have to run this flashpoint.
14 of them.
Run this flashpoint on repeat. Farm the mats that or whatever it is that you need to get the crafting recipes, right? Get them together, get yourself geared, and then go take on Isaacs on veteran / master mode to be able to. It's going to be a rough, a tall order, I think.
I just think, I don't know. The gear chase doesn't have to be a gear chase because there's other MMOs that manage to not do that. And people still have things to do in them.
I totally agree.
So
Guild Wars, once you get max gear, you're done. Nothing's an upgrade. It's just a cosmetic.
Armor cap is CP 160. They have kind of a you know, that same kind of mechanic here, but it's handled different. But gear cap is 160. And once you hit that, you're done. But there are so many crafting motifs and decorations and blah, blah, blah to farm in the game, and like animations and stuff, that you have more than enough craft to do in the game. But that said, I don't know. I know this last year was supposed to be group content and MMO bits. But is Isaac's gonna just be geared to hard mode people? I mean, like when they say it's harder, I think that's bad.
I don't think story mode will be.
I hope not.
No, story will be story.
What we're talking about is it's going to be harder, and we're going to give you more. Blah, blah,
only
blah,
master mode.
Yeah, but that's because they're talking about the harder difficulty, because they're making it extra hard, and they want to make it like, here's your big event for a super extra hard on the hard mode. Right. I think it'll still be challenging. I mean, the other ones on story mode are challenging to a degree. They at least are mindful of mechanics. So I expect that to be the case for Isaac's on story, but beyond that, I do think it'll be story mode. They've never shown a propensity to make story mode harder as time has gone on.
I like story mode for what it is. We do it in WoG and have a great time doing it.
Well,
and WoG is
chill.
Yeah, it's easy. It's
fun.
And you learn.
And that is my speed. I don't want it really any harder.
Right.
Well, I appreciate other people do. I appreciate that other people do. But in this, they're not talking about. That's okay.
We'll just carry you because we love you.
All I care about is that's fine. I totally get giving people who want more challenge to have more challenge. They talk more about the more challenge in this roadmap than they do the story mode. So that's fine.
Well, that's because people like us have been crying about it.
They had best not be forgetting, because there's way more me than there is hard mode people. And
that's true.
Well, that's why they put bolster into story mode. Gear doesn't matter. I mean, quite frankly, outside of ranked PvP and hard mode,
Redneck goes naked all the time in story mode ops.
There's no point to gear in this game, which is ironic that they keep boosting the gear, when it only has any impact on people doing hard modes and above. Like, it's like, why are you making it harder for the 1% that's even trying to do this stuff? To even get geared enough to participate? It's like, ugh.
About that too, even though I'm not doing it. There were several people who commented on the Reddit thing that they're not going to they will not be chasing after these new augments. They just did it, and they're like, I'm not doing it.
No, the feeling is very similar to when they just finished doing Dark versus Light, and they made you redo every single one of your characters all over again in order to get all those stupid achievements. Yeah. And then they said, hey, by the way, we're taking away all those points, and we're putting in this placeholder because we're going to do it again.
But yet they still haven't done it again.
Really?
Like, I need my
I thought they were going
achievements.
to do it this summer, and they didn't.
I really did enjoy the Dark versus Light event, because it was great for me, who's been playing the game for so long, to be able to go back and do some of that stuff that I haven't touched since I completed it. So some of that was fun, but I will say that you are right. The grind to get all those 8 characters done again just made me like kind of want to punch somebody, because I haven't touched most of those characters. Sorry, Magic Baby's really happy she had a nap. I haven't touched most of those characters since I made them for the Dark vs. Light event. And I was like, you know what? This is my chance to level male tunes. I can never play as a male tune. I'll do it for this. I still have not gone back and done those stories. It was a waste. I might as well delete the characters. Ugh.
Before we move on, because we're going to need to wrap up soon, there was something that I actually wanted to discuss with you guys, because I feel like there's two sides to this, particularly in the nature of the change of the roadmap and their future plans. And what it really boils down to is, and I think actually, Magic, you mentioned it before, that you weren't in the forums, you weren't reading anything, and you were just happy when new stuff showed up in the game because you weren't really expecting it and you didn't, look forward to that. So it got exciting, right? And that's kind of my style too, honestly, even though I do go into the forums. As long as I'm getting regularly new things, I'm generally pretty happy. Now, I do think there is a significant point, and it seems like that's where Keith is leaning towards anyway, right? There is one significant point that is missing from that premise, which is that in an expansion, you can do media announcements, advertisements that focus around the fact that, hey, this expansion with a significant amount of content is being released at the same time, and that's where you tend to get the new players. Like, constant release of content little by little is going to keep most of your dedicated that haven't unsubbed already around, but it's not going to be bringing in new blood and hooking new people. And I think that's the biggest thing that was missing from this roadmap that I could point to that would make me bothered, is the fact that while I do think he actually is intending to have a proper, well, have an expansion. I don't even know what proper is. We could discuss that at another date. But that I do think that they're going to do. When he says 6.0, it'll be, hey, this is the next expansion. What's going to be in that? I don't know. But I do think that we shouldn't just disregard somebody's dissatisfaction with feeling like it sounds like there isn't going to be a proper expansion, because expansions do serve a viable purpose. Whether or not that's actually towards what I'd like to see from the game ongoing, it is important to bring people back and bring new people in.
Right.
But I have to say, over the last year, they have not been focused on bringing new people in. So,
right.
I don't know that that's something. And further, I got, just talking to Keith, they were very focused on trying to keep the people that are playing the game happy. I didn't ask the question, but I also didn't get information volunteered to me that they were even looking, that any of their strategies were new player focused or getting new player in. Now, again, I didn't ask that specific question, but most of our conversation was talking about, well, the story people, weren't getting gear, and those of you who are raiding, and blah blah blah. So we talked about those. I don't know. I've said before, I just don't know, and I think Sakari said it too. There's two strategies. You got to deal with churn one way or the other. You either get new people to replace the ones that leave, or you attempt to keep as many people from not leaving as you can. Those are your two strategies.
Stop the blood flow or bring in more.
Correct.
One is,
and it seems to me they are trying to keep people here and not leaving.
There are people like me who are very lore oriented, and so the contribution of Nathema now coming in again is really great, because there are people like I and Mr. Volk and I have talked about this on a few occasions. We're really excited when they announced Nathema was going to be in there. We're like, oh my gosh, yay! And then it was just kind of like you're there for a minute and then you're gone. There wasn't any exploring. And so I'm really hoping they'll fix that this time, and that there's stuff that you can do. And the reason why that's important is people like us who read books that are legendary now.
Not if it's a flashpoint. I'm sorry. If it comes out as a flashpoint, you are going to be disappointed.
I was not disappointed with Legacy of Rakata. I was enamored. It was so gorgeous and very well done. And granted, there's not going to be trees and flowers on Nathema. I got that. But I'm saying, like, it's not necessarily guaranteed that you're going to hate it because it's a flashpoint.
Yeah, I was thoroughly thrilled. Comparo? Did you like the way?
No, but that's all different reasons, girl. You know how much we died on that. Okay, let's not go.
I know.
We don't got the time. What I'm saying is, like, okay, like Bane talked about it in his books, and it was literally how the Emperor became immortal. So thinking
or
of
in the
it,
Revan novel, they actually talk about the whole devastation, sucking the lifeblood out of the whole planet. And all
that's
that,
important to people like us, so people like us will stay hooked. We'll keep paying until the end if they keep putting in stuff like that. So just want to throw that out there. That's my perspective.
They had better do it justice. That's all I'm going to ask. I mean, if you're going to, this was my issue with Yavin 4. Yavin 4 should have tombs all over the place that I get to explore. Yavin 4 is the most
more than like 2 side caves.
Yeah, 2 side. I was so bitterly disappointed with Yavin 4. Because it's just really an extended dailies area, and that was a letdown to me. It's going to be a massive letdown to me if Nathema turns out essentially to be the same thing. But you know what the thing is? I have learned that Kopero was a flashpoint. Umbara was a flashpoint. Rakata was a flashpoint. All of these worlds that we're getting are either a dailies area or a flashpoint. I am not holding my breath for anything that's going to be a nice, huge, explorable area where I get to find cool things. And to me, that is bad in an MMO.
And if you're going to call it an expansion, give me a planet. And it's like a full-on planet where I see other people. Not a phased-out thing. Just give me a planet. But with world bosses of all of that, because I finally was able to pin down why I was so supremely disappointed with the most recent story content and the whole format, is because it culminated in beating the most epically bad guy that the galaxy has ever known, worse than Vader and the Emperor or Exar Kun or anybody else, ended up going down in a cutscene. I didn't even get to legit fight the guy. That's the most
Right.
disappoint. Let alone, I was expecting that his bratty kids would be the bosses leading up to that boss fight, and I got nothing. And now, in fact, some sick individuals want to apparently hook up with one of those bratty homicidal killers. You know, like that's just some of the
When they
most
said arc and romance,
disturbed
I'm like,
storytelling
you
I've
gotta be
ever
kidding me,
had.
right?
But
You gotta be
he's-
kidding me.
Oh,
so-
no,
so
there was a
This
I
is a
can't romance
discussion.
the Talos
campaign
Strelick,
about that.
but you could romance Arkin.
This is a discussion for
Whatever.
another episode, of course.
Right. Well,
But
and that's just a cherry on top.
Arkin is
but-
reformed. Are you going to forgive him? Is the question.
No, I'm gonna shank him with a freaking lightsaber, or or a knife, or I'm an operative, so a lot of
Or
times,
you ought to recognize
shit.
that he's already dead. So.
Right.
Yeah, he's dead in most of mine. I think I saved him on one character just to say that I did it. So anyways, we would like to thank you guys for showing up. We like to thank you for participating, for listening to us, for laughing at us, for laughing with us, for laughing at each other. Thanks for talking in chat and watching Magic Baby. She's appreciative too. But thank you so much for participating every week and for loving the show and loving this game, because we love you guys too. And when I say guys, I'm in the patriarchal society, so I mean gals too, okay? So,
Patriarchal
just so
society.
you know.
Oh,
Guys
give
is
you
a
that.
non-gendered pronoun. Accept it.
I also want to throw this out there before we wrap up the episode. Just thank you very much to Zen, our lone patron. So yes, Zen is awesome.
Nice
stuck
guy,
with us.
Zen. Met him.
Yes.
Lovely man.
I would bow, but I'd hit my desk with my forehead. So instead of-
Zen is a patron of the arts in SWTOR content production. So thank you very much. And I do want to also say that one of the things that we haven't really put a lot of work into yet is our whole behind the scenes. Here's what you get access to stuff if you are a patron. But stay tuned. We are going to be pushing that here soon. So we're working on it. And we'll make it happen. But for now, I just want to say thank you to Zen. Even though none of those rewards have been in place, he's been helping us out every episode, every week. So thank you.
And that brings us to the end of the episode. The council is adjourned. If you'd like to reach us, you can email us at thecouncil@thecouncilswotor.com. You can find Elise on Twitter, abrown35, Magic Ace, the Magic Ace, me, R3DN4, and Sakari, I am Sakari. Don't forget to visit our website, www.thecouncilswotor.com, and follow us on social media. Also, don't forget our Patreon page at patreon.com/thecouncilswotor, where you could be the second patron. That's it for this week, guys, because when it comes to roadmaps, I find your lack of faith disturbing.
I understand.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
What? How can you do this? This is outrageous. It's unfair. How can you be on the council and not be a master?
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
Forgive me, Master.